In the quiet town of Cluxton, where people argued over whether Tuesdays were for tacos or trivia, the most exciting event in decades was about to unfold, and it all started with a chicken named Dolores. Dolores wasn't your average hen. She had opinions, strong ones. She refused to lay eggs in the morning like the others, and once pecked the mayor's shoe for stepping on her feed. No one took her seriously, except for Mrs. Wiggins, the retired librarian who insisted Dolores was an old soul with administrative potential. Mrs. Wiggins lived alone in a little blue house on Pickle Jar Lane, where every windowsill was lined with ceramic frogs, each wearing a crown. She was known for her vivid imagination and a rather curious fondness for voting in every election, local, regional, and, on one memorable occasion, the best moustache in Cluxton contest. It was during one of those elections that the incident happened. The mayoral race had narrowed down to two dull candidates: Barry Flanderson, a man who'd promised to fix potholes for 6 years and only managed to make them deeper, and Margaret Clink, who campaigned mostly by shouting "efficiency" through a megaphone at the bakery. Fed up with the choices, Mrs. Wiggins filled in the write-in section with Dolores the chicken. She told exactly 3 people: her knitting group, which consisted of 2 ex-postal workers and a parrot named Jerry. They thought it was hilarious and told a few more people, who told their baristas, who told their cats, who told social media. 2 days later, Dolores had an Instagram account at Mayor Dolores Official and a campaign slogan, "Pecking order, I am the order." The townspeople, having no real emotional attachment to either human candidate, began to rally behind the chicken. Someone made stickers. Someone else made a campaign video of Dolores strutting to dramatic music. Someone else photoshopped her in front of the town hall, beak open, as if shouting policy changes. On election day, Cluxton saw its highest turnout since the free pie for voters incident of '97. When the results came in, the town gasped. Dolores the chicken had won by 2 votes. Barry Flanderson demanded a recount, but it turned out Dolores had more Instagram followers than he had campaign flyers. Margaret Clink conceded with a stiff nod, muttering something about the rise of poultry populism. The next morning, Dolores woke up as Cluxton's first non-human mayor. She did not look impressed. Dolores's first day as mayor began like any other day for a chicken, suspiciously. She peered out of her coop, narrowed her eyes at a passing squirrel, then casually pooped on her ramp in protest of something. No one knew exactly what Dolores stood for, but she definitely stood against things. Strongly, passionately, loudly. Mrs. Wiggins, proud campaign manager and self-appointed secretary, arrived in her floral skirt and matching clipboard. "Well, Madam Mayor," she said, adjusting her glasses, "time to head to City Hall. I packed mealworms and an oat bar." Dolores gave her a side-eye that screamed, "I'm gluten-free," but hopped into her special transport crate anyway. City Hall, unprepared for poultry governance, tried to adapt. Barry Flanderson had left behind a desk full of half-used sticky notes and 3 identical hang-in-there cat posters, which Dolores promptly knocked over with a single flap. "She's asserting dominance," whispered the town clerk. "She's pooping on the rug," replied the janitor. "Symbolic," the clerk replied, nodding. Dolores' first executive order was, well, it wasn't clear. She pecked at a laminated lunch menu and then fluffed her feathers aggressively until someone ordered enough corn to feed a barn. Still, Cluxton liked this. Dolores had presence, more than any mayor in years. She didn't smile for photos, but she did pose dramatically. She didn't talk, but she clucked with conviction. She once stared so hard at the town treasurer he refunded half the local parking fines. Word spread fast. By Friday, national news had arrived. "Pecking power. Small town elects chicken mayor," read the headline on the Cluxton Gazette. Reporters gathered outside City Hall. Tourists arrived with chicken hats. Dolores received fan mail. Someone sent her a miniature power suit. She wore it, briefly, then shredded it. Symbolic. Meanwhile, the town council panicked. While the public adored Dolores, the logistics of her leadership were challenging. "She can't read the budget," cried Councilwoman Higsby. She shredded the budget, corrected the intern, and then sat on it like an egg. But Cluxton was thriving. For the first time in years, town meetings were packed. People brought their kids. Dolores would strut around the chamber once, squawk at someone suspicious, then sit on a cushioned perch that used to be the mayor's chair. She had no idea what she was doing, but neither had the last 3 mayors, and they hadn't laid a single egg between them. All seemed calm until a suspicious headline appeared in the Cluxton Courier weekly tabloid. Mayor's egg-laying record called into question. Apparently, Dolores had stopped laying eggs. The reporter claimed she was resting on her political laurels and suggested she was ignoring her duties. Dolores was furious. She knocked over a succulent in her office and launched a full-blown squawking tirade. It made the national evening news. The town rallied behind her again. "Don't expect her to do everything," one sign read. "Let her lead and cluck in peace," read another. But the pressure mounted. At the next town council meeting, Dolores pecked Councilwoman Higsby's binder and then turned her back. Symbolic? Maybe. Rude? Definitely. It was during these tense times that a new challenger emerged. Enter Todd from finance. Todd was a llama, a tall, well-groomed, smug-faced llama who lived on Cluxton's wholesome animal yoga farm. He wore bow ties. He had a podcast. He sipped oat milk lattes and quoted inspirational posters without irony. "I believe Cluxton is ready for professional leadership," Todd said in an interview, his voice smooth as a goat's belly. "Our mayor lays eggs. That's not policy. That's breakfast." The town gasped. A llama challenging a chicken? Lines were drawn. Yard signs popped up overnight. Dolores forever. Todd, turnips and taxes. I'm with the bird. Llama 2025, spit takes and fiscal responsibility. Todd claimed he could streamline spending. Dolores pooped in his direction at a farmer's market. The debate was inevitable. City Hall booked the local community center for the event. Crowds filled every inch of space. One half wore feathery hats, the other alpaca-themed scarves. Tensions were high. Moderator Jerry the Parrot opened with a squawk. "First question, what is your vision for Cluxton?" Todd cleared his throat. "Economic growth through sustainable..." Dolores clucked, loudly, then strutted across the stage, knocking over a pointer stick and dramatically standing on the word community on the presentation board. The crowd lost it, clapping, cheering, crying. Todd narrowed his eyes. "I have a 10-point plan." Dolores blinked once, flapped her wings, and, mid-debate, laid a single perfectly timed egg. The room exploded. The crowd stood chanting, "EGG! Iggy! Iggy!" Todd huffed. "This is not policy, it's poultry theatre." But the people had spoken. The debate was over. The egg won. With her egg-laying mic drop at the debate, Dolores's approval ratings skyrocketed. Tour buses came daily. Someone made a jigsaw puzzle of her debate pose. The egg was bronzed and displayed in the local museum, the janitor's broom closet, repurposed for culture. Todd the llama tried to recover. He released a podcast episode titled Politics and Poop, The Cost of Avian Leadership. But only 5 people listened. 3 of them were goats with iPhones. Dolores had never been stronger, until the duck arrived. He came from out of town. No one knew his name. He was simply known as the Duck. He wore sunglasses and a leather collar. His arrival was quiet, too quiet. First, a goose went missing. Then a statue of Dolores was mysteriously defaced with breadcrumbs. The duck began appearing around town, quacking ominously near local businesses, stirring seeds of rebellion. At a bakery, he left a trail of crackers. At the council chambers, he dropped a note that simply read, "Change is coming." Quack. Conspiracy theories flourished. "The duck is funded by the alpaca lobby," someone whispered. "He's a free agent from Pondsville," said another. One child claimed the duck could hypnotize squirrels. Dolores remained calm, until she woke up one morning to find her coop had been egged. The town was horrified. The Courier headline read, "Yoked mayor targeted in foul attack." This was war. Dolores called an emergency town meeting. She paced, she pecked, she brooded. Then she laid a decoy egg on stage to demonstrate that she would not be intimidated. "This is not a game," said Mrs. Wiggins, arms flailing as she read the mayor's latest clucks like a seasoned translator. "This is our town, and Dolores says no duck will undo what she's pecked together." Meanwhile, the duck held underground quack talks in the park. His followers began holding signs. "Down with down. We need a leader, not a layer. Bill for mayor." A local crow joined his campaign as head of air superiority. Tensions reached a boiling point when the duck challenged Dolores to a final contest, a public obstacle course showdown live-streamed, with commentary by Jerry the Parrot and sponsored by a local seed company. The course was set: balance beams for grace, corn mazes for intellect, a seesaw for comedic effect, and a talent section. No one knew why. Dolores went first. She glided through the corn maze like a fluffy torpedo. The crowd roared. She slipped on the seesaw but landed dramatically. For talent, she did an angry waddle while a tambourine played in the background. It was modern art. Then came the duck. He strutted in, sunglasses glinting. He balanced. He slithered. He did jazz wings. But at the last moment during his interpretive quack talent number, a squirrel threw a peanut at his head. He panicked. He slipped. He fell. Dolores won. By unanimous chicken consensus, the duck waddled off in shame. The bronzed egg was re-waxed. Todd the llama quietly moved to a podcast commune in Vermont. Epilogue: Mayor Forever. Years later, Dolores still sat proudly in City Hall. She never signed a single bill, never read a memo, but the potholes got fixed. The bakery's efficiency improved, and the town was happier than ever. Children learned her name in school. A statue stood in the square. Her original coop was declared a historical monument. And every spring, Cluxton held the Mayor Dolores Egg Drop Parade, where everyone wore chicken hats and shouted, "Long may she cluck." Dolores, now older and fluffier, didn't do much anymore, except poop on things, loudly, but that too was symbolic. And somewhere out there, Dolores probably still walks among us, probably stealing fries at an outdoor cafe. Long may she cluck. If you enjoyed this tale, give us a like, drop a comment, and remember to always keep a biscuit nearby, just in case.